one town council. And as I just decided to call him, the man of the people. Please welcome Daniel Anthony.
Thank you all. That's nice. As Lynn said, my name is Daniel Anthony. Um, so we're going to start in with a "Who am I?" type of thing. All right. Now, before I get too far along, what you're going to hear out of me is just me. I'm not a politician. I never will be one. Don't want to be one. All right. Uh, so here we go. I'm a 40-year resident on the island. All right. I'm a father, a husband, a grandfather, a local business owner, and I am the president of the Jonesville Preservation Society, which some of you probably have heard of that. As I said, I'm a 40-year resident. My wife is a longtime resident. I've been here nearly all her life. We met here, got married here, survived 37 years of marriage, believe it or not. Okay, and that goes against me. She's wonderful. I'm the one that's hard. Um, our 3 sons were born here. All our grandchildren were born here, and all my kids still live here. So this run for Ward 1 is personal for me. Uh, I have a lot of passion for this island. I love this island. And I will debate that with anybody, anywhere, anytime. As I said, I am a business owner. I'm a licensed home builder. Some people bring that into question when I talk about overdevelopment. But in the 40 years I've been here, I've only built 3 houses. I've got a 4th one underway right now for my son. That's all the new building I've ever done. My company specializes in renovations for single-family homeowners, and that's exclusive. I've been doing that all my life. I've got the scars and calluses on my hands to prove it. Some people would ask me, well, it sounds like you got a pretty good life. Why would you run? And I'd say, yeah, I do got a pretty good life. I like it. But in the 40 years I've been here, with what I have seen overdevelopment do to the residential communities, single family communities, historic and gullah communities, I feel like this is my time to step up and say something, to represent the individuals who feel like the government has left them. Don't listen to them. Don't care what they say, are not worried about their concerns, not worried about their future. These are individuals who are, as I like to call it, the living workforce of the island. I'm part of that. I've always been part of that. So I know these people intimately. I talk to them every day. I live with them. I work with them, eat lunch with them. We go out and we party together. I know these people. I know what they want, and what they want is just they busted their butts all these years for this little piece of heaven that they have, and they're terrified that they're going to lose it. They're either going to be forced out, like what has happened in the past with the workforce, or they're going to be taxed out. Now, I want to give them hope, and more than hope, I want to give them a reason to get off the couch and vote this year. This year, with the amount we got 3 seats up for grabs. Okay, if we can flip those seats, we could change the future of Hilton Head Island for generations to come. Now, I want to go through my platform, and I'm going to give you a semi-brief synopsis of what that is, description, and I want to do that, and then I want to give y'all a chance to ask me questions. Okay, anything you want. All right, but I'll get through this first. Overdevelopment. Now, overdevelopment, and we all know what that is. We all know that there's too many major subdivisions being popped up all over the island, right? And they're usually in the single-family neighborhoods. So how do we address that issue? We've heard people complain about the developers, the real estate investors, but to be honest with you, it's not their fault. It really isn't. They're working within the guidelines that are set up in the land management ordinance on Hilton Head Island. That LMO was changed in 2014, and it made it a gift to developers to do what they're doing today. Now, you can argue the fact that maybe they shouldn't do what they're doing. Maybe they should have a little heart, care about their neighbor, but that's not the way they are. They have pillaged this island for profit for generations. It's time we put a stop to that, and we can do it this year. We can do it this year because the way we can address overdevelopment is by zoning. Zoning sets up what you can and cannot do. Now, they'll complain about property rights, okay? Property rights exist. The property rights they exist because of zoning. It's not a divine right by God. So we change zoning, we can change development. Once we change development, then we'll have a brighter future for Hilton Head. We can preserve these areas that we're worried about being overtaken by the overdevelopment. We can address issues like stormwater runoff, fresh water, short-term rentals, parking, trash, traffic safety, quality of life. One of my big ones. Okay, I live where I live because I like the quality of life. Probably y'all do too. So when somebody comes in and does something that is a negative impact on your quality of life, don't you get upset? I mean, it's human nature, right? So we've got to be able to address that. And we can address those issues through zoning. Zoning, and I'll just pick out one topic, short-term rentals, okay? Everybody knows that short-term rentals, there are negative impacts of short-term rentals. I don't care where you are, don't care. But it's not all short-term rentals. Now, people will tell you that, oh, he hates short-term rentals. It's not true. I think the businesses that manage short-term rentals, I think they do it right. They have somebody on call, they address the situation promptly, and they enforce their rules and regulations. The problem we have in short-term rentals is when you get that one owner that doesn't live here, they buy a house, they put it on the market, Airbnb, VRBO, and all they're doing is collecting that money each week. They don't worry about what that person is doing, waking up the neighbor at 2 o'clock in the morning. They don't care about how many cars are parked on the street. They don't care about any of that. They just care about the dollar. Now, the town does have a website that you can go to, a hotline. Excuse me, it's hot. GOVOS. Now, I don't know if they've improved it over the last few months, but normally you call, you don't get an answer. There's an answer machine. You can leave a message. Sometimes they call you back. Sometimes they don't. A lot of times people just give up on it and they just call the sheriff's department. The sheriff's department will send somebody to that address if they have somebody in the neighborhood. That's the way it works. Okay, I know that firsthand. So that doesn't work. My idea is this, and some of this is already in play with the town of Hilton Head, but from what I see, it's not enforced. And the way I see it is this. If somebody wants to rent their home as a short-term rental, first and foremost, it has to be allowed in that neighborhood. The neighbors in that community, they should be the ones to say if they want to allow short-term rentals or not. It shouldn't be left up to this person that just bought this house. Okay? Number one. Then they fill out an application. And what they do is they say how many bedrooms they have, how many parking spaces, fire, this, that, and the other. They dot all their I's and cross all their T's. They hand in that permit application. Before they get that permit, there should be a code enforcement officer along with fire, to go over and inspect that unit to make sure that all what they said on there is true. Now, as a builder, renovation person, whenever I fill out a permit to do a job, I have to submit plans. In those plans, I have to tell them how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms. Those plans are kept with the town. So if somebody goes in and they do an addition, they have to get another permit for that. And that keeps control and tells you how many bedrooms there are in that house. So if somebody comes in and says, well, I got 6 bedrooms. Okay, you got 6 bedrooms. All right, let's go back and look at the plans and you find out they only have 4. But they have an office and they have a formal dining room that they're going to turn into a bedroom. That's not a bedroom. Okay? There are guidelines of what a bedroom is. It's not just 4 walls. Okay? I know this for a fact. I've been doing that kind of work all my life. So if they're not being honest, then they have to change to the 4 bedrooms. Okay? If they saying they got 6, it's only listed for 4, they go back to 4. And then this is where we're really reeling in. Occupancy. My belief is 2 people per bedroom. 2 adults per bedroom. Each bedroom, 1 vehicle. So if you have a 4-bedroom house, you can list it as 8 adults and you're allowed 4 cars. Now, that house has to have the space for 4 cars, 4 vehicles. It has to be long enough, wide enough, and high enough if it's a drive under to accommodate a larger SUV or a full-size pickup truck, because that's what the majority of these people bring. If we do that, then we have taken care of the rules, the regulations, and the enforcement. We can take care of the occupancy without having to put a cap on it. We can take care of the parking. These things are just simple things that come out of my simple little head. Okay? Common sense things for common sense problems. Now, once they get their permit, okay, they dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's. They get their permit. There should be a list already generated of violations and what the penalty for that violation is. And the owner should be the one held responsible for that. If you got too many cars, and let's just say an additional car is $250 fine, then the town charges that homeowner that $250. If that homeowner does not pay that, say we give them 2 weeks, all right? If they don't pay it in 2 weeks, their permit is pulled. They don't get they don't get their permit back until they pay their fines. We all deal with this, right? You get a fine, parking ticket, something like that. You got to pay it, right? They don't just let you run. So it should be the same for the short-term rentals. It's just a way that we enforce our rules and regulations. That's the biggest problem with short-term rentals, is that there just isn't the enforcement that we need. That takes care of short-term rentals. Like I said, I'm not against it. But if we don't do something about it, we will never find that balance between tourism and residents. There has been tourism industry on this island for decades. Now, I will argue that the residents were here first. I will argue that point. But it is our economy now, okay? We all got to get along. I don't think what I'm asking for is unreasonable, all right? I think it's a good way for us to find that balance. We talked about zoning, how we handle different things. Zoning will also help us to protect and preserve these areas of the island that are being imminent threat of overdevelopment, thereby protecting the historic Angola land, protecting our environment, and the character of this island. These are things that we all fell in love with this island about, all right? We didn't come down here and say, oh my God, look at that timeshare. I can't wait to move here. We didn't do that. I don't know anybody that did. We all fell in love with the beaches, the marshes, the animals, the plants, the trees, you know? That quality of life, that peaceful quality of life is what we fell in love with. That's why we're here. But if we don't start addressing these issues now, this year, it'll be gone. This island is, at the current rate, this island is on a downward spiral, and it will die. Everything we love about this island will be gone. And this island, in my opinion, okay, in my opinion, this island will be either as bad as Myrtle Beach or worse. For instance, this is a hot topic. This mega structure bridge that's coming in, okay? Now, does that, in anybody's mind, say character? You know? Does not. Does not. And it was rammed down our throats. There wasn't even so much as a hint of compromise from the town officials on this. We don't need all of that bridge. You got a bike path to nowhere. All right. And I I know this is going to happen. So put this down. I'm Notre Dameist right now. When they build this and they have that bike path with these crazy overlooks they plan on doing, those overlooks are going to be at the highest part of the bridge. And it's right where us boaters run our boats from one side to the other. You're going to have some idiot up there throwing stuff at us. There's going to be people fishing from it. This is all dangerous stuff. But see, this is where I say, when we start planning things like this, before we look at that big picture of how good it is, we really need to look and say, what is the possible negative impact of this? Look at it that way and work yourself backwards. Because what we have done over the decades here on the island is this is great, that's great, this is great, that's great. Then we come up with problems and it's like, okay, well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. That's why we're like we are now. We've got a government. Okay, now catch this. 70% of the island is covered in gated communities. All right? Those gated communities have their own set of rules and regulations. And for the most part, they supersede whatever the town says. So the town really governs the 30%. Okay? I don't understand why they need such a big government for that 30%. Now, their excuse for it, or their reasoning for it, I should say, is so that they can get all these things taken care of in a timely manner. And I've heard about this for 2 years. 2 years I've heard this. We have no district plans. Okay? We have no real impact on the LMO. No changes. No real insightful changes. We still have the same problems. Okay? So why do we need the government? Why do we need that big a government? I've always said, and I will argue this point with anybody, that if you want to know what's going on in a neighborhood, go in that neighborhood and talk to the people living there. They will know about the traffic. They will know about the stormwater. They'll know about the sewage. They'll know what they want, their safety, their quality of life. They can tell you everything. And here's the kicker. They'll do it for nothing. You ain't got to pay them a dime. And we could save all those hundreds of thousands of dollars that we spend on advisory boards. And my goodness, this is just, I don't understand why that is not just common sense thinking. You know, to me, yeah, I'll stand over here so I block some for you. You're sitting there squinting going like this. But I just don't understand. To me, it's mind boggling. We have a lot of issues on the island, and a lot of them could be solved if we would just take our issues, shorten up that list, or actually, you know what? You can make the list as long as you want, but only pick out 2 or 3 or 4 items and then address those 2 or 3 or 4 items, get them taken care of, and then work on the next and then next. It's called prioritizing. I think what they do is they're so overwhelmed by all the things that they want to do. They're spreading all these people all over the place. They're not getting anything done. They don't. It's like, you ever heard the term run around like chicken with your head cut off? Exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. So I think there is a way that we can address these issues, but we have to have people on council who think with a resident-based ideology. You have to. If you do not, if you do not elect somebody new, or if you elect somebody that has that same mindset, it's just a different person, the same results. We have to have people that'll look out for the residents on the dais. Because if we're going to change Hilton Head, we have to have that kind of mentality on council. Now, I've been fighting this as a citizen for the last couple of years. When I had a developer come down at the end of Jonesville Road and clear cut 29 acres. Now, when they did that, I got involved. And through that outreach, because it wasn't like I went down to town and said, hey, you got to stop this. It wasn't like that. It took an army of people on Jonesville and around the island to get involved with one goal: to stop the subdivisions on Jonesville. Now, when that happened, we found out that there was a couple other subdivisions. So we went to work. Found out that the way that it works is once it's permitted, nothing you can do. So the first and the second one were permitted. Tidelands 1 and Tidelands 2 was not. Just so happened, I knew the owner of Tidelands 2. Just so happened, I had a conversation with him, had a conversation with the town manager. I put the two of them together, and they worked out a deal where the town bought that property. Now, a lot of people say, well, that was a big bite for the town. That's a lot of money. Yeah, probably. But it saved us from another 88 units on Jonesville. It saved our iconic stables in a historic Angela area, what the town has pledged for the last several years that they're looking to protect. Now, there are plans for the stables. And my plan, and I hope that the town manager is in, he has been talking to me. I do not know his intention. I don't. But my intention for that stables is that the horses come back. I would envision it to be something like a smaller Lawton Stables in Sea Pines, but with just a little twist. So if we could do something like that, that would be a piece of property the town bought, but yet the town would get revenue out of it. And if it worked out long enough, the town would actually get their money back. Now, it's a heck of a lot different than a pickleball court or a park. Okay? Now, I know that there's not as much money going in, but a pickleball court, and I got nothing against pickleball, and a park, and I got nothing against parks. But when you're going to sit there and compare apples to apples, it's not. It's apples to oranges, because you get no return from a park or a pickleball court. None whatsoever. It's constant maintenance. There's constant money out of the town's coffers to keep it up. For what? For the enjoyment of the community. Good thing. Not a bad thing. But don't raise Cain with me because I came up with an idea that's better than yours. Okay? It's just the way I am. Common sense thinking from a common sense kind of guy. Now, in closing, let me tell you this. My vision for my campaign is to correct zoning so that we can protect the historic Gullah and single-family neighborhoods for generations to come. That's my vision. My mission is to change zoning so that we can do that. I dedicate this campaign, all my efforts, for the greater good of the residents in Ward 1. And I pray that God will bless me with the guidance, the strength, and the courage that I'm going to need when tougher times come. My name is Daniel Anthony, and I am running to represent Ward 1 at Town Council this year. I appreciate some support.